Let's walk through the basic steps of setting up the Brevera breast biopsy system with core lumina imaging technology and performing a biopsy using the affirmed prone biopsy system. Before the patient enters the room, the technologist will prep the room for the procedure. The Hologic materials that are needed for a biopsy using the Brevera breast biopsy system include a Brevera needle adapter, biopsy needle, needle guide, canister, biopsy site marker, and an extra filter, which is optional. Additional items needed include a 250 cc saline bag, an optional 10 cc syringe of anesthetic, and finally, a formalin jar with a minimum 2.4 inch diameter. Once the materials are collected, the technologist will set up the Brevera breast biopsy system. To begin, move the console to the desired position and lock the casters. Plug the console in and press the power button located on the right side of the console. Ensure the foot switch is plugged in. Plug the biopsy device driver into the console if it is not already plugged in. The device driver cord attaches on the left side of the console near the saline tubing management plate. The red dots will align at the top when attached correctly. The device driver will automatically calibrate and prepare itself for biopsy needle assembly. When the startup screen appears on the imaging display, select the Login button. Next, select the username, enter the password, and tap the Login button. Next, find the scheduled patient. There are several ways to do this. To pull up names on the work list, you can look for the patient under the Scheduled or All tab. The Scheduled tab displays the scheduled procedures. The All tab displays all procedures on the system. You can also search by patient name, patient ID, or a session number by using the drop-down box and typing in the appropriate information. Once the patient is found, highlight their name and select Open. If you are unable to pull the patient case from the work list, you can create a New case by selecting New on the right side of the screen. Input the appropriate information including last name, first name, patient ID, and date of birth. Note: fields with an asterisk are required. Use the purple arrow on the right to access the next screen. Select the gender, accession number, and procedure type. Then select Open. The core lumina imaging system is now ready for the procedure. Make sure the key switch is in the unlocked position on the imaging panel. Now you are ready to set up the biopsy needle. To begin, place the assembled canister into the holder with the patient port facing the right side. Securely connect the blue fitting of the vacuum line assembly to the vacuum port, which is the top port on the canister. Next, open the sterile Brevera needle package and place it onto the tray on the top of the console. Hold the biopsy needle with the curved side facing down and the sheath needle tip facing to the right. Line up the back tab of the biopsy needle with the notch in the device driver. Carefully move the disposable biopsy needle straight down to engage it with the device driver, aligning the notch with the back of the tab. Slide the biopsy needle forward to the right until it locks into place with a click. The biopsy needle should attach and move forward smoothly. Do not drag the needle across the device driver. Once the needle is correctly in place on the driver, the device driver should say Connected and will be highlighted in green on the technologist display. Also, the biopsy needle should say Installed and will be highlighted in green on the technologist display. Next, grab the saline bag from the Mayo stand and spike the saline bag. Give the saline bag a gentle squeeze to ensure unobstructed flow, and hang the bag on the saline hook on the left side of the console. Saline can be viewed in the clear section of the saline line. Guide the saline tubing counterclockwise and insert the silicone section of the saline tubing into the saline pinch valve. Place the gray vacuum tubing into the tubing guide over the pinch valve. Connect the biopsy needle vacuum line to the patient port on the horizontal side of the canister lid. Next, open the drawer and place the tissue filter assembly in the tissue filter drawer by lining up the notch on the left side and aligning the 4 locator pins. Feed the clear tubing through the guide on the right side and the gray tubing through the guide on the left. Then, close the drawer. On the technologist display under Tissue Filter, it will now read Installed and will be highlighted in green. From the technologist display, you will see that the system automatically detected and confirmed the connections to the driver, biopsy needle, tissue filter assembly, and X-ray system. If all of these systems are properly connected, then you will see all green confirmation across the technologist display. After setup is successful, the system requires testing. The system has 5 main mode controls on the technologist display and on the remote control. On the technologist display, you will find the following buttons from left to right. Standby. When the system is in standby mode, the vacuum is off, and if the biopsy device is connected, the aperture on the needle is closed. The device cannot be fired, and images cannot be taken. Test. When the system is in test mode, it tests the vacuum, prompts the user to confirm saline flow at the tip of the needle, then tests the cutting cycle. Biopsy. When the system is in biopsy mode, depressing the foot switch activates the vacuum and operation of the biopsy device. The system can arm and fire in biopsy mode. Removing pressure from the foot switch inactivates or stops the device after completion of the current cycle. Lavage. When the system is in lavage mode, the vacuum system is activated and will pull saline through the system. The aperture of the needle is open in this mode. Aspirate. When the system is in aspirate mode, the vacuum is continuously on and the aperture of the needle is open. Aspirate mode allows for continuous vacuum to aspirate the biopsy cavity. Saline does not flow in aspirate mode. You will also find the biopsy, lavage, aspirate, and standby modes on the remote control in addition to the arm and fire buttons. Note, test mode can only be performed from the technologist display, and the arm and fire buttons can only be performed using the remote control. When the system is ready to test, the green light above the test button on the technology display will be flashing. Press and release the test button. Test mode will prime the system and generate vacuum. If everything is working properly, vacuum system functioning correctly will appear. If not, the system will prompt you on how to troubleshoot. The system then prompts you to confirm the saline flow at the tip of the needle. Here, the technologist will visually confirm the flow of saline into the aperture of the biopsy device. Press the check button on the technologist display to confirm the saline flow, or X if no saline is flowing. Pressing the X button will prompt the system to provide troubleshooting and next steps. Next, the system will test the cutting cycle. The system will prompt the user to press the foot switch for 2 seconds and release to initiate a cutting cycle. Step on the foot switch and release while visually confirming that the aperture closes and opens, performing a cutting cycle. After testing is complete, the prompt, "Required test sequence complete. Arm the biopsy needle to test arm and fire," or press standby to proceed to standby, will appear on the technologist display. To arm, press and hold arm on the remote control. Note the sound of the outer cannula retracting and visually confirm the needle moving to a retracted position. You will also see the icon on the technologist display and imaging display has changed to armed. Next, fire the biopsy device by pressing and holding fire on the remote control. Note the sound of the needle firing and visually confirm the needle advances forward. Again, The technologist and imaging display will show that the needle is in the fired position. The console will go to standby on the technologist display after arming and firing the device. The system is now ready to perform the biopsy procedure.